And Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Ra'ak Wadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from and continue to learn this truth from. And I'm going to get straight into the lesson. All right, this is what I'm meditating on today, which is, balance. And, going into the consequences of not keeping balance. All right, this is one of the notes that I got from the chat GPT. Going into moderation and balance. It says the Bible is very strict about the consequences of lacking balance. That is, living without self-control, moderation, proper priorities. It describes imbalance, excess in pleasures, emotions, work, or appetites, or the opposite extremes like laziness as leading to personal ruin, vulnerability, spiritual harm, and ultimately separation from Yahweh, which Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, best purposes. And with knowing that, the times that we're in, we are to be what? Consistent, all right? Having self-control. This is one of the words, I believe this is incontinent, the definition, which in Greek is akrasia.
Strong's G 192, akrasia.
Yeah,
akrasia.
Incontinency. All right, it says want of self-control, incontinency, intemperance. And this is what the world is full of, incontinent people, because these people are, what does the Bible say? They're lovers of themselves, man. They're focused on the physical when they should be focused on the spiritual, right? And this is why the main goal for a lot of these people are, to please the flesh, constantly be, in the mix, in the loop of what's going on in the world. All right. But when it pertains to prophecy, to the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, they're clueless. All right. One of the things you see that people have is a lack of discipline. As right now, these TSA workers are they're quitting at an all-time high. And the people, they lack judgment. They all still trying to fly. They still in the spring break, spirit of celebrating. And really, Jake don't know how to read the room. It's not only Jake, but the masses of these people are unable to read the room. And when you read the scriptures, it goes into how evil men understand not judgment, all right, and how even weighing the balance of a non-spiritual individual causes them to err in numerous ways. Now, some of you are going to err straight into a missile. You're going to err into your judgment because you lack the wisdom to discern. All right, which being a person who is discerning, all right, you're not going to rush into a bomb. You're gonna read the room. This is the book of Sirach. All right, chapter 30. 1 in verse. We'll start off at verse 27. It says, "Wine is as good as life to a man." All right, and wine also in the scriptures, all right, is what philosophy, the wisdom All right. It can be folly or righteous wisdom. All right. Or it could just be what it is, liquor. It says, wine is good as life to a man if it be drunk moderately. What life is it then to a man that is without wine? For it was made for men to make men glad. Wine measurably drunk and in the season bringeth gladness of the heart and cheerfulness of the mind. All right. It says, but wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling. And clearly throughout the scriptures, we see the Lord speaking about moderation. Okay, not doing too much. All right. Even going up a couple verses. All right, it says, if thou sit at a bountiful table, be not greedy upon it, and say not there is much meat on it. All right, now there's nothing but greed here. I was just watching a video about a man going into a Chipotle and went berserk on adding extra meat. And this is the spirit of you Babylonians.
This is the new world's largest.
You don't know.
White rice.
Yep.
Black beans.
White rice, black beans. Yep.
Skip the meat.
This is the new world's largest Chipotle burrito, but how much does it cost? Can we get like 40 tortillas, please? This is gonna be bigger than I expected. I want white, brown rice, black beans, pinto beans.
You know, you go berserk. You know, when really it takes a simple meal, man. You know, when you discipline yourself and fast, you really see how simple, you know, a meal should be. You know, when you're able to refrain from meat, all right, for particular days at a time on end, you know, and drink with your water and, you know, maybe dabble in some vegetables and herbs, you see how, you know, how unnecessary it is to, you know, pound, you know, these humongous burritos, and you want to abstain from being gluttonous, right? It says, remember that a wicked eye is an evil thing, and what is created more than wicked than an eye, therefore it weepeth upon every occasion. Stretch not thy hand whithersoever it looketh, and thrust it not with him into the dish. All right, so what the Lord wants us is, all right, to avoid, you know, excess pleasure. It's all meaningless. Okay, and the self-indulgent, you know, is going to lead you to misery and destruction. Right? I believe in the book of Timothy, it talks about how if you're living in pleasure, you're dead. All right, this is 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 6. It says, but she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. You know, so you don't want to be part of the Walking Dead, which is 2/3. You know, they're zombies. They're spiritually illiterate and lack judgment, which ultimately means they're reprobate. Right, reprobate, an unprincipled person, often used humorously or affectionately. Unprincipled, often used, it says, express or feel disapproved of. All right, we want to be what approved of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, these coming times, decision making will be key. You know, using that wisdom is going to keep us actually stabilized. All right, it says, let's get more context. So it's going into the wisdom. It says, if riches be a possession to be desired in this life, what is richer than wisdom that worketh all things? That's the most important thing. To fear what? Yahweh, and keep his commandments. The whole duty. It says, in a prudence work, who of all that are in more cunning workmen than she? And if a man love righteousness, her labors and virtues, for she teacheth temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life. If a man desire much experience, he knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, and can expound dark sentences. She foresees signs and wonders, in the events of seasons and times, right? Which is ultimately going into discernment, right? Therefore, I purpose to take her to me to live with me, knowing that she would be a counselor of good things and a comfort in cares and grief. For her sake, I shall have estimation among the multitude, and honor with the elders, though I be young. All right, so we go to the basics constantly, because the basics are the fundamentals of the wisdom. All right, what does the Lord say? All right, seek out the ancient, seek out the old. Right, it says here in the book of Proverbs 3 and 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Let's get that in the NLT. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. You know, we're supposed to trust and walk in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. He's going to guide us in these times. And as we get closer and closer to the Lord, shifting things here on earth, man, we that are sincere are hoping, you know, that the Lord, which means expecting, you know, the Lord to cover us. This is Sirach chapter 18 and verse 28. Every man of understanding knoweth wisdom, and will give praise unto him that found her. They that were of understanding and sayings became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables. Go not after thy lusts, but refrain thyself from thy appetites. All right, balance. If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thy enemies that malign thee. And you don't, you know, in war, you don't want your enemies laughing at you. That's what they're doing to Babylon. All right, the Lord, you know, will make you a heavy enemy. You know, 'cause that's what the Lord's going to do. He's going to strengthen us. If you foolish, the Lord's going to have you be a joke. And this is why, going up to verse 20, it says, before judgment, examine thyself. And in the day of visitation, thou shalt find mercy. So that's how we find the mercy. You know, it's examining ourselves, checking the weights and scales. You know, if you are trying to lose weight, you constantly going at the scale, constantly in the mirror, examining yourself. And it's the same way through the Spirit. I pray this lesson was edifying.